Hello and welcome to our conversation about taking steps to improve equity, diversity, and inclusion in our places of work and communities. It is brought to you by the Greater Parkland Regional Chamber of Commerce and the Community and Social Development Department of the town of Stony. The topic of this conversation is learning. This is, of course, a vital piece of any equity, diversity, and inclusion strategy in the workplace. In this session, we'll discuss crucial first steps organizations should take into account when exploring equity, diversity, and inclusion training, and helps to ensure that the training outcome is on target and relevant to the organization, and most importantly, the learners. The conversation takes place between myself, Mike, Renata, and Ada of BadaB Consulting. At the end, we'll also take a moment to tell you about our recognition badges that help you take steps and demonstrate your commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. Now, let's get talking.
Hello, Mike and Ada. Here we are again. Now talking about ED&I learning. For any meaningful ED&I strategy, training is a vital step and one that won't be accomplished through any one-off training session. Ada, can you talk a bit about what organizations should consider before rolling out their ED&I training package?
Sure, I will. There is a lot of diversity between us in terms of where we are in our understanding and interest in ED&I. When rolling out a training program on this topic, organizations will want to consider the many stages their employees are at. For some, they may be interested in ED&I, but have limited knowledge or experience. Other employees may be very experienced and knowledgeable in some aspects of ED&I, and even have lived experience. For instance, someone who identifies as gay or lesbian may understand some of the challenges faced, such as being discriminated against, and will understand the need for more learning and inclusive workplace policies around the LGBTQ+ community. However, they may have limited knowledge or understanding of disabilities and the challenges someone else faces in the workplace. And there will be other employees who are resistant to ED&I and come with many biases. A successful training program should be able to resonate with people of different levels of understanding of this topic. So Mike, with those being said, what do you suggest? Where should organizations begin?
The easiest place to start is with known issues or opportunities. For example, if there's been incidences of discrimination or unfair treatment, you can focus in and start there. Or consider current issues that many other organizations are addressing, like cultural awareness training, training on microaggressions, unconscious bias, or starting employee resource groups. If there's a team or department that has a strong representation of a particular minority group, you might look at cultural awareness training about that group as a good place to begin.
That's exactly it. What we have just shared is about performing a needs assessment before rolling out any training package. Recently, an organization experiencing some workplace conflicts among workers came to us for help and wanted to explore some training options. This is a traditional male-dominant blue-collar organization. After digging into the issues, the organization learned that the female colleagues were having a really hard time fitting in and perceived their male counterparts' behaviors and languages as rude. In this case, we suggested for them to start with internal surveys or focus groups, ensuring people can feel safe to share honestly. They asked about interest, knowledge level, experiences, and any concerns around workplace diversity and inclusion that they had. You can also solicit feedback about learning styles and preferences for the type and format of training. This information sets a really good baseline for us. So then clearly set the tone for what you're wanting to accomplish and what your expectations are. Be transparent through each step as you collect feedback from your needs assessment and let the teams know you're hearing them. Ada, what else can organizations do to prepare their organization for training programs as part of their ED&I strategy?
With the example that we just shared, let's emphasize on a few key items. What is the intent of the training? What do you want the outcomes to be? What messages do you want to convey throughout the organization about why ED&I is important and how it ties with your vision, mission, objectives, and values? In this situation, after collecting the employee information to gauge where they're at, both individually and as a whole, I suggested aligning the training objectives with the organization's vision, mission, goals, and values before creating anything. Renata, what else did we do in this situation?
Yeah, we then divided into discussing the timeline of the training, budget, and the other logistics of the training. We all know that as adults, we tend to forget when we only hear information once. We also tend to resist when organizations push training on us. So at the end, we designed a training program that included several sessions that would take place over a period of 6 months, using various activities to engage everyone's interests. The content of the sessions also took into account how workers can transfer the knowledge directly into their daily interactions at work, which was important.
Yes, and in between those sessions, we also had conversations with the workers and managers to understand where they're at and if any positive behavior changes took place. Then with the information, we would adjust our future sessions accordingly. By measuring the baseline, the progress, and then achievements, we were able to prove the return on investment and effectiveness of those training sessions. Mike, can you share a few takeaway items for our audience?
Absolutely. 2 actions to prepare for your organization's learning. Action 1, review your organization's mission, vision, values, and goals. You need to know how each of these tie into equity, diversity, and inclusion, and what you want to accomplish. And action 2, set up an employee survey and a few focus groups before you start any training. This will help you identify any issues you may not be aware of, engage knowledge and interest, and then you can make adjustments as needed. That was a pretty good conversation. As we wrap up the session, I'd like to take just a minute to let you know that we offer a badge recognition program that is focused on supporting organizations in the early stages of action on equity, diversity, and inclusion. There are 6 badges available: leadership and capacity, accessibility, staffing, compensation, performance excellence, and learning. For each, we have a list of research-based practical indicators, and you tell us how your organization is fulfilling several of them. Then we have a confirmation meeting and award the badge. There's lots of flexibility built in, and the point is to inform and recognize your first steps on the journey of meaningful equity, diversity, and inclusion. Contact information for Ada, Renata, and myself are on screen. Please reach out to any of us or the corporate office to talk more about equity, diversity, and inclusion and how we can help you. And thanks to our partners, the Greater Parkland Regional Chamber of Commerce and Community and Social Development Department of the town of Stony Plain, who are advocates of equity, diversity, and inclusion.